talking.
Hey everyone, happy week 3.
Week 3.
Woohoo.
Oh
These
my God.
weeks are just ticking along.
I know, right?
Welcome to our week 3 Q&A. This week our focus is on overcoming barriers, which is a fairly significant topic area because at the end of the day, if we didn't have barriers, we'd all have achieved our goals and we wouldn't be working towards anything.
Absolutely. And like barriers are always going to come up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to understand what they are and how you can overcome them.
Exactly. So we've had some really great feedback and I guess eye-opening kind of like moments of like that light bulb moment for girls doing their check-ins that this topic really resonated with them this week. Mm-hmm. Watching the week 3 video, of having a look at different barriers. Obviously, we just separated into different topics. There's so many barriers that you could be facing, but there was sort of a very much a common theme in the weekly check-ins, which was that all or nothing approach as being a really big barrier, that people start off doing all the right things and feel really good and feel really motivated and inspired and feel like they're making progress. And then all of a sudden they have a disruptor to that, and then it's sort of like all the wheels start to fall off at a rate of knots. So I guess we probably wanted to have a bit more of a chat about that all or nothing approach. It's a really hard one to get out of the habit.
It definitely takes time and patience to remove yourself out of that mindset, because it's kind of like as soon as you have one slip up or one thing that's off the plan, your brain is using it as an excuse to just throw in the entire towel. And if we maintain that kind of all or nothing mentality, then we're never going to be able to build a lifestyle, because as we said earlier, barriers are always going to crop up. And we also shouldn't be restricting ourselves in every like manner whether it comes to like sweet foods or savory foods or going out for dinner. Like a few girls said that, you know, they had a sweet muffin one day and the rest of the day they were like, oh, well, I've already had that sweet muffin. When in actuality, if you account for a muffin, if you enjoy it, and then continue on with your plan, you're going to be achieving your results a lot faster than if you were to throw in the towel or drop everything because of that one slip or that one meal or one treat.
Yeah, it's that 80-20 rule that I think it's a hard thing to get yourself out of the habit of doing. But, you know, if 80% of what you're doing is, is eating your meal prep, training, implementing your habits, and you're incorporating 20% of maybe fun foods or things that, you know, fill your cup in other ways, that will actually help your results become a lot more sustainable and actually attainable as well. I can't stress that enough, and I know you've got to build trust in that process. And some people are, you know, I cannot have sweet things in the house, otherwise I'll eat them all at once. It is really important you get to a point where you can really start challenging some of those beliefs, because living a life where you're not trusting yourself, I think that's a bit sad.
Absolutely.
And it's nice to get to a point where it's like you can have those foods around and enjoy them in moderation. And also, this is something that I spoke about with one of my girls, is not being scared to throw stuff out, food out. And unfortunately, I know that sounds like a very privileged position or privileged thing to say, because in a Western society we have so much. But by the way, how good did Dee and I look today?
Accidental matching.
Coordinating outfits. That, you know, say for example, someone bakes them a cake or bakes them cookies. It's like, or you bake yourself, and it's like, now, I only wanted one, but now I'm going to eat the whole batch. And it's almost like you're eating them because they're there and you don't want to throw them out or whatever. Have a think about what else you could do with that food to share it so that it continues to give love in lots of ways. So you could invite somebody around. You could make a little pack for your neighbours to say, hey, I've got this delicious, like, you know, biscuits. Like, do stuff like that. The other trick that for mums, This is probably not going to be as groundbreaking as my hand gesture, but quite often with baking for kids, because I love baking and I love baking with Sky, is that I'll make cookie dough, and so I'll make the cookies from scratch, but I'll actually roll some of it up and freeze it and not cook it.
That's a good call.
And then that way, instead of making 12 cookies, I'm only making like 6. And so that's like 1 for everyone.
Yeah,
absolutely. Maybe 2 for me. But do you know what I mean? So you could get crafty. The other thing is freezing things. Like, never be scared to be like, oh, there's only 4 biscuits left or 4 muffins left. Freeze them. Just freeze them. Or as I said, throw them out. If you're really going, I enjoyed them, but now it's like, throw them out, get rid of them. Or as I said, look for ways that you can give that food on to somebody else.
Absolutely.
Would actually really enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I think it's also really important to plan to like go out for dinner, or plan to go out for brunch, or plan to have some chocolate on a Friday night, so that you aren't restricting yourself and you're not getting into that drop it mentality, and you're allowing yourself to have that soul food. Because if you end up restricting yourself for the 8 weeks, then you're going to get to the end of the 8 weeks, and what's the first thing you're going to do? Because the timeline's done, you're going to go to your first comfort foods that you've been restricting yourself over. So, you know, do the baking, get the chocolate, have a little bit of it, and then pass it on to your friends or family. Get your hubby to hide it for the rest of the week.
Yeah. But learn to live with it.
Yeah.
And know that it's not going to go away. I know I said that last week, but
it's definitely a practice to build, to be able to, you know, do things in moderation. But that's another thing. It's all a learning process. And we have to kind of figure out ways to adapt to our lifestyle and adapt to our barriers, so that you can continue this sustainable way of living and maintaining your nutrition.
And how are you going, Dee? How are your habits that you're trying to build over the 8 weeks going?
They're going good. My biggest thing is breakfast, and not preparing breakfast. And then I'm here from like 6 a.m. So if I don't prepare breakfast, there's not much that I like to go out and eat, and I'll find that I'm not eating until midday or something, waiting for lunch food or whatever. So, and part of that is that I get bored during winter with eating overnight oats, or I just like get home and I'm tired and I don't prepare anything. So instead of waiting for right before bed to think about my breakfast, I've been doing it as soon as I get home, before I sit down, or do the housework or whatever. And I've been having my overnight oats, and some days I've been having some scrambled eggs and veg, and I've been hitting my breakfast every day. I think it was one day I didn't bring breakfast in and didn't eat until midday, which is not good, because I need that energy. But I'm also reminding myself of how I feel when I do have breakfast prepared, and when I eat it within the first hour or two of being at work, my energy is so much higher, my mood is so much better, and it just is the best.
Yeah.
So I've been really good at prepping my breakfast. And then my other main habit was getting to bed between 9 and 9:30. And part of that is that it's really difficult with Matt to go to bed on time. He's very persuasive in the ways of watching one more episode. But I've been really firm, like 8:45, the TV goes off and I start my wind down routine. And I've been feeling so much better for it and waking up so much more easily, which is a big flow-on effect for the rest of the day.
Awesome. That's so good. No,
how are your habits going?
Good. So I guess my big goal over the 8 weeks is to drop just a little bit more weight, and to lean out. I've got a trip booked to Vietnam, and I'm just keen to spend most of it in a bikini, feeling amazing, so I guess in terms of my habits and goals, I did want to be tracking my food. I'm not the most consistent at doing that, but I also know that that's not the big thing that's going to be the most important thing that will drive weight loss for me. I know that it's more so along the lines of mindlessly snacking or grazing on food that I haven't planned for, like eating some of Sky's food or eating leftover bits and bobs along the way. I guess the other thing is that I'm being really mindful of not letting the scales throw me off course at this such an early stage in the challenge. And this is probably something that it's probably good to talk about, but if you're there jumping on the scales and not seeing that much of a change, but you're feeling the change, trust that. And I am definitely feeling the change. The scales, however, when we started the challenge, I was just coming back from having tonsillitis and being sick. So my weight was down. And that's not to say that I lost body fat during that time. It was just a case of that when you are sick, your body is quite depleted. And usually you do see a little bit of a drop in muscle mass as well. And therefore your body's not holding and storing carbohydrates or water the same. Your body's just not operating at the same level. So while I was lighter before starting the challenge, and I'm not seeing changes in the scale just yet, I'm not going to let that throw me off. I'm not going to be there going, oh, it's not working, or I need to cut more, or I need to do this. I'm still trusting the process and trusting what I'm doing in terms of planning out my 4 meals throughout the day, making sure that they're really mindfully planned in terms of portion sizes. I'm still including a hot chocolate and a piece of chocolate at night. I'm not going to be there, you know, throwing that out the window. Probably when it comes to my training, I've had days where I've trained really well, and then days where I know my training intensity's not been there, or the duration's not been exactly where I wanted it to be. So probably going into next week, I'm going to be making sure that my training is really well-rounded. I'm going to be looking for opportunities just to continue to find incidental ways to be moving my body rather than pulling back calories even more. As we start to go into week 4 of the challenge, it might be the time for you to start to implement something new that's different to what you have been doing, or really upping the ante just that little bit more. So if you're currently doing 7,000 steps, try to hit 10,000 steps. If you're, you know, on some days I hit huge steps on the days I'm working, but not so much on like 1 or 2 the other days when I'm not. So maybe for me, it's about, okay, on the days I'm not working, trying to get my steps up more, so that will help drive weight loss.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so let's chat about some of our homework items today. So homework this week was to actually bring your attention to your food habits and your barriers. And what we asked you to do is to have a look at the list of various things that are really good to be mindful of, and pick one that you can really focus in on for the week. So things like tuning into hunger, and we spoke about that in a previous week, but before you eat, actually go, am I hungry? What would I give it out of 10? I should not be starving. Starving means that I've let myself go too long. I should be mild to moderately hungry. So, you know, if desperately famished was a 10, you should be somewhere around a 6 or a 7, maybe a 7. And same as when you actually eat your meal. If you're trying to lose weight, it's really important that you don't feel overstuffed. You should feel lightly full, lightly satisfied. You shouldn't still feel hungry. So again, probably giving yourself somewhere around like a 7. A 10 means you've overeaten, you know, that feeling where you feel really uncomfortable, you want to have a nap or something along those lines. So really start cueing into that. That will be a really great tip for you to help, I guess, retrust your own bodily cues of what your body's telling you. Minimizing distractions is probably something that I'm not great at. I tend to eat a lot in front of my computer screen, unless like it's the morning. I love my mornings when the kids are not up and I can sit there and eat in peace. But that's pretty rare. Although I will find that sometimes, like now that I'm feeding Sienna, I find that my mealtime takes a lot longer because it's like, give her a spoon, I eat. Give her a spoon, I eat. So that's actually a really good, exactly. So that's actually a really good little way to, I guess, stop me from eating so fast and really hoovering down my food.
Yeah, I definitely like to take maybe 1 or 2 mouthfuls, and then I put my fork or my spoon down, and I wait until all the food's out of my mouth, so that I take it slow. You're not inhaling your food, because you're going to still feel hungry, even if you've eaten more than your fill, if you eat it or inhale your food within 5 minutes.
It's probably something I need to work on, continue to work on myself.
Yeah.
And eating more slowly, chewing between each mouthful, that will also help with digestion as well.
100%. And something that was really helpful to a couple of my girls in their check-ins this week was, when you are feeling hungry or you feel that appetite, asking yourself, like, will this food serve my purpose right now? And then you can kind of identify whether you're wanting a specific piece of food just for the sake of it, or because you're craving it, or it's your appetite, or whether it's going to serve your goals, whether you're actually hungry. Is it a well-balanced meal? Just taking a couple of seconds to ask, does this food serve me? Does it serve my purpose right now? What is your purpose for looking for something? Is it emotional, or is it actually hunger?
Yeah, that's good. Well, I think that sort of wraps us up in terms of key topics that we wanted to chat about. Continue, guys, giving us lots of feedback on these Q&A videos, and if you've got a question, let us know. But keep asking, keep bringing your awareness to the habits, the things that you're doing with your nutrition, so that you're continuing to build those big long-term habits over time.
Yeah. And don't forget, if you have one unplanned meal or one unplanned snack, it's not the end of everything. We're learning a lifestyle here.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thanks, guys.
See you later.
Bye.